Right, hello guys, welcome to another video, and today I'm going to tell you how you can score 330 on the GRE within 30. Alright, I do have a video on how you can score 330 on the GRE within 2 months, but a lot of people are retaking the GRE. A lot of people don't really get the time to actually, have 2 months of time really, so it's fine. And I figured that, let me actually make a 30-day schedule for you, and this is really the only schedule you will ever need. Because, from my experience, let me actually show you my score first, so that you know that I know what I'm talking about. That's my GRE score. I have a 329 on the GRE with 161 on the verbal, 168 on the quant, and 4.5 on the AWS. So that's my score, and the way that you can get the same score, if I had to do it all over again, and if I only had 30 days, this is the schedule that I would follow. So trust me, you do not need any other YouTube video to go ahead and, do the same thing again and again and again. Go ahead, watch another video and again get confused. This is the only schedule you will need to follow, right? Just follow through here, watch this video patiently, and build the schedule for yourself, right? Just understand this, okay? So let me tell you how to go about it. Alright, the first thing that you need to do is you want to go onto the ETS website and you want to book the test. This is extremely important, alright, because a lot of times you might see that 30 days later, when you're trying to book the slot, you might not get the slot. So it's important to book the slot because you might not even get the date. And secondly, it's important because you might not get that for me, it's like that, alright? You need a deadline. You need that, alright, by the end of next month, I need to actually, take the test. So I need to finish all of the schedule within 30 days. If you have that, well, that's definitely good for you, okay? So let me tell you how to select the date, alright? So let's say today is 2nd October, but if you want to book the test, which date should you select? Alright, let me actually give you the date. So this is 2nd October. I need 30 days at least. Okay, I will go on to the next month. I will see, alright, 2nd November is a Saturday. I'll find the first Monday after that. Okay, the first Monday after that is the 4th of November. Now, why do you find the first Monday? It's because you, I believe, even if you're working or interning, you will have a holiday on Saturday and Sunday, right? At least on Sunday. In that case, you get a lot of time to revise. You get a lot of time to, be calm and just, revise all the words and all of these things. And then you can just take the test. Okay. So make sure that you have, at least 1 or 2 days where you have nothing to do but just revise. Okay. Good. So you're going to book the test on the 4th in this case. All right. Just understand the technique. This is really important and you need to book it. All right. Do not delay it. Alright, let's go on to the next step, and that is you have to take a mock test. Which mock test are you going to take? You're going to take the ETS Power Prep 1. Okay, let me tell you how that goes. Okay, whenever you go onto the ETS GRE website and you check out of here, basically you will have an opportunity to basically get 2 ETS Power Prep tests, basically 2 mock tests for free. Okay, and these are perfectly fine. They are free. They're given out to you. Alright, the first test you're going to take is the ETS Power Prep 1 without even preparing, even if you do not know anything about the GRE. Okay, take the test, see where you currently stand. The motive over here is to understand that, alright, I am currently standing on a 300 and I need to take it to 330. So I need to study according to that, alright? I need a 30-point boost. Okay, so that's really important that you kind of, understand that. Alright. You now know that, alright, this is where I currently stand, this is how much I need to improve. Okay, you have taken the mock test. Now we actually begin with the preparation. Alright, let me actually tell you, whatever material I show you in this video, do not think that you do not worry about the material at this point in the video. Don't pause and try to search for the material. I will give you the material in the end of the video. Okay, so all you need to do for now is just follow through with me. Okay, just follow through, just understand what I'm talking about. The material will be with you. Alright, just consider that you already have it. Right, so the only thing that we're going to do first is we're going to look at the Magoosh videos. Okay, now why is that so important? Because these are literally the best source for you to actually understand the concepts. And even if you think you know the concepts, you actually need to watch them, because the GRE will test you on a lot of concepts. So maybe you are just missing out a few of those concepts, and those will be kind of, the blanks will be filled in, right? And they're really important. So let me tell you how you're going to do it. Okay, so this is the package that you will have at the end of this video. Okay, now all of these chapters have a lot of questions in them. So you have all of these things over here. However, you also have a Magoosh videos folder. Alright, you go into the Magoosh videos folder, you will find that you have verbal, AWA, and math. Okay, now what you want to do is, consider math, AWA, and verbal all a combined section. You have, whatever number of chapters you have. So basically in math you have 14 chapters, in verbal you have 9, basically all of these chapters. But again, you wanna consider the text completions as a single chapter in my case. All right. So similarly, basically you have a lot of chapters that you have to finish. So you have 10 days. Right, and this is what you're going to do in the next 10 days. Okay, the next 10 days, this is your schedule first off. Right, you go on, you start with a single chapter. Let's say you're starting with algebra. Okay, you start with this. Right, you finish all of these videos. These videos are not very long. They're usually 5 minutes on an average. You finish the videos. Every day you're doing 2 chapters. Okay, it's not a lot. You finish the videos for that chapter, and once you finish the videos, let's say I finished the algebra equations and inequalities videos, I go back here and I solve the algebra questions. Okay, now this is extremely important. Solve all of these questions. Then you move on and basically you go back to Magoosh videos folder. You select another chapter. Basically, you could select word problems and then you do word problems questions. Okay, so this is what you have to do. I know it's a bit hectic, but you will need to spend the amount of time. It's just because you have only 30 days. So the first 10 days, this is what you do. Okay, you finish all of these chapters. If you do 2 chapters a day, you will be able to finish them. Okay, you finish all of these chapters, especially the math ones. You will be able to do them even if you run out of time on the verbal ones. It's fine because verbal ones have a lot of questions. You don't have to do all of them, but still try to do as many as you can. Okay, so you finish 2 chapters a day, right? How do you finish 2 chapters? You watch the videos, you do the questions. Then again, you pick up the next chapter, you watch the videos, you do the questions. All right, do not skip this part. It is absolutely essential, okay, to your preparation, right? And trust me, this is going to get you more than more improvement than you actually realize. But anyway, this is what you have to do. Now that you have finished these questions and basically the videos, your Magoosh package has been finished. By the way, when you're doing the chapters, I would also advise that you take notes on, basically just note down the formulas. So next time when you are just revising, you don't have to watch the videos all over again. You can just read the notes, and that's going to be it. The last 2 days you're going to be doing revision. So don't think that the notes are not going to work for you. Just write down the notes, kind of the formulas and the important concepts. Just write them down. For math, you don't need notes for the verbal one. In that case you only need the practice. Okay, so with that done, you have finished this Magoosh package in the first 10 to 12 days, at max 12 days. Okay, don't take more than that. Alright, so now that you have done that, we're going to move on to the Manhattan 5-pound book. Alright, again, I will tell you how you can get that. In order to get this, all you have to do is go on to the website YMGrad.com. Alright, you sign up over there, and basically once you sign up, you will get a link on your email. You click the link on your email, alright, you confirm your email, and basically now you try to log in. When you try to log in, we'll ask you some of your details about basically your previous university, your expected GRE scores, and all of these simple things. Once you enter these, you complete your profile, you will get an email which will have not only just this book but a lot of other material. We'll give you a GRE Google Drive link which will have a lot of other material for the GRE. Okay, that's what you have to do. You will get this book, you will get a lot of other material as well which you might need just in case, but this is the book that we need to actually focus on. All right, so let me tell you what we have to do in this case. Okay, so let me actually show you the index. Right, let's move on to the index. Let me actually find that. Okay, that's that. I'm not able to find it apparently. I think, yeah, this is it. Okay, so in this case, let me tell you what you have to do. Okay, now when you did the Magoosh videos and the Magoosh questions, right, there's one thing that you have to do that I did not tell you about. So every time you did the Magoosh questions for a chapter, all right, the one thing that you have to do is you have to calculate the percentage of the questions that you got right. Okay, so let's say you did, let me actually show you. Let's say you did algebra. Okay, let's say you did algebra. What was the percentage of questions that you got right? Well, maybe you got 17 out of 20 right. That's 85%. Okay, so if you get anything more than 85% right, then you're good. But if you get anything less than 85% right, then you go on to basically again, this is an independent process. Basically, just note down your percentages while you're doing the questions for the first 10 days. So you have a percentage corresponding to every chapter. For algebra, I'm 87%. For probability, I'm at 90%. For data interpretation, I'm at 65%. Well, if you're at 65% for data interpretation, once you finish the Magoosh package, then you go on over here, all right, and you will pick out the data interpretation chapter. Right, let me actually find that for you. That's chapter 24. and you will do all the questions from this book as well. Okay, the key over here is to give you basically to laser focus on your weaker areas. You don't have the time to waste on different all of the chapters. You cannot do the whole book, but the only thing that you have to do is understand that wherever you are scoring less than 85%, you go on and you do all of the questions. Okay, now this is extremely important. You understand that, because you cannot do the whole book within 10 days, but I'm only giving this book 10 days at max. So within the first 20 days you will be done with both your Magoosh package and your Manhattan book. Okay, and a lot of people they ask me, where do we prepare the verbal section from? Well, the Magoosh package is more than enough for that. Okay, you don't have to look at this book, but just in case you want to look, you want to look at this book, I would suggest that this book has really great RCs and logical reasoning questions. So just in case you have the time, you can do that. But again, that's not necessary. If you have done the Magoosh package, that's more than enough. Okay, so now you know what to do, right? You do the Magoosh package, you do the Manhattan book, and basically the only questions that you do from the Manhattan book are the ones where you are weak, right? The ones where you're scoring less than 85%. Okay, easy to understand? Great. Alright, let's move on to the next thing over here, and that is mock tests. Alright, the last 10 days, all you have to do is mock tests and evaluation. I will teach you how to do that. Okay, let me actually show you which mock test I'm talking about. The best mock test for the GRE, the only mock test that you need for the GRE are basically the Manhattan mock tests. Right, Manhattan has an online portal here. Let me actually show you. Where is that? Okay, this is it. Right, so basically you can in this case the account is fully activated. You get this account for $50, but that it gives you access to 6 tests. Alright, so 6 tests you get in $50. Right, again, watch to the end of this video. I'll tell you how you can get this for a much cheaper rate. But this is probably one of the best mock tests. They're a little harder, you could say, than the, well, not really. The GRE math section is a little bit harder now than it used to be. So I think they're like the same level, but they are really accurate when it comes to predicting your math score, your quantitative score. Alright, so make sure that you get these mock tests. Alright, I will tell you how to get them. You can get them from us directly. We will provide it to you for a very cheap rate, but otherwise you can just get it from Manhattan. They will charge you $50, but these tests are definitely worth it. Okay, these tests, and then there's like the Princeton test. There's the Princeton account over here. You can see that we have 4 tests over here on the portal itself. You can take them. The great thing about Princeton tests is that they also evaluate your AWA. So there is literally no other GRE testing software that will evaluate your AWA. They will do that for you. Right? They will, and they actually get pretty close. Right? They are pretty accurate. It's not 100% accurate, but I would say that 80 to 90%. It's very accurate. Right? So these are again the 4 tests that you might want to get, and the finally, again, don't worry about the material at this point. Like I said, end of this video. And finally, there's basically the ETS Power Prep 2 test. Right? If you need more tests, which I don't think you will need, but just in case, in that case, you can go ahead with Kaplan mock test, right? The Kaplan account. Okay, so those are the mock tests. In conjunction, all of these are about 10 to 15 mock tests, depending on whether you include Kaplan or not. But you should be able to, for the last 8 to 10 days, you should be able to, finish these mock tests, and you should be covered. So let me tell you how you have to do it. Okay, every single day, and this is what I used to do. Every single day, wake up early morning at 4 or 5 a.m. Alright, just make sure that the next 4 hours no one is disturbing you. No one should be, basically it should be in the testing environment. Alright, it should be quiet, it should be calm. Alright, no one is coming to your room or anything. You have the next 4 hours, do the complete test. Alright, every single morning you do that. Now you have done the test, you have basically revised everything, you've done all of that. Now the next thing that you're doing is you go on and basically take a break for 2 hours first off. Right, once you're finished with the test, take a break of 2 hours. Don't stress your mind in that case. But once you are done with that, now you go on and you evaluate the test. Now this is like the gold mine that no one uses. You have to evaluate the test because it's just so much information that you can use to better yourself, and a lot of people don't even do that. So let me tell you how you do it. Okay, once you finish with the test, you go on and you see, alright, why did I not score well? Okay, so sometimes if you have a timing issue, then mostly it's the case that basically Again, we can help you in identifying that one-on-one personally, but in this case, usually what happens is that if you have a timing issue, you need to actually take more time sections, you need to get yourself used to it. What we usually do is we kind of try to drill down and find why are you having these issues, alright? But the best way to do that is see chapter-wise which are the chapters that you're not scoring that 85% on, alright? So if you saw 6 questions in total on data interpretation, so at least, if you're doing more than 2 wrong in that case, that means that you're not in that 85% range. That means that you need to do more questions for that chapter, okay? That's evaluation. You need to understand that. And you also go on to the questions. Each of the questions that you did wrong, you go on to them one by one and you try to solve them without the timed environment this time, alright? And you will see, it's amazing how much difference that can make, right? So if you did 5 questions wrong on the test, right, you go on, you basically, don't see the answer just yet, try to solve the same questions without the timer, okay? Maybe you are able to solve them, that means that you just had a panic, or basically you were panicking and you did not have the, you could say, time, or maybe you just did not think about it, okay? So whatever the mistake is, whether conceptual or silly, you need to evaluate the test, right? If you're still not able to get it, mostly that is a conceptual mistake. And the conceptual mistake can only be fixed by looking at the solution and understanding it and kind of, really getting your head around the question. That's what you have to do. I would say note down the question, but you do not have the time for that because you're only doing this for 30 days. So don't worry about it, okay? Just make sure that you understand the concept. Okay, with that done, now that you have, learned what to do, alright? You take the test every morning, you evaluate it in the evening, okay? Now you understand that sometimes you are not crossing that 85% mark in some of the chapters. Let's say data interpretation is still your weaker area. So how do you fix that? Let me tell you how you fix that, okay? So like I said, right, the K-Plan account, this is the K-Plan account. You have 4 tests over here as well. But one more thing that people do not use and they don't even know about it is the question bank, alright? So if you click over here on top right, or basically question bank, you will see this question bank, okay? And you can select, alright, the difficulty of the questions you can select, alright? You can select low, medium, high. You can select the data interpretation chapter over here. You can see this data interpretation. You can select that one, right? It's not really working very well right now because for some reason, I'm in the office. It's 2nd October. It's a national holiday. There's no Wi-Fi. But either way, basically what happens over here is when you select the data interpretation, right, and you click on calculate the number of questions, it will calculate. They basically have like 89 questions for the data interpretation. I actually checked it out yesterday before planning the whole video out, but they have like 89 questions on data interpretation. So what you can do is you can try and solve 20 questions one at a time, alright? So 20 questions without the timed environment, untimed way. So if you can actually select the untimed mode over here, right? So 20 questions without the time mode and then see if you're crossing the 80% mark. If you did cross the 85% mark, then you go on and you go on to the time mode, okay? So until you do not cross the 85% mark, do not go on to the, time mode. So because we want to target your concepts, alright? We do not care about the time at that point. Some chapters where you're weak, you want to laser target your concepts, and once you actually understand the concepts, you'll be able to do it very, very fast. So 20 questions on time mode. You do not cross the 85% mark, do 20 questions again on time mode. Okay, you cross the 85% mark, do 20 questions again, but this time the time mode, and make sure you cross the 85% mark in this case, right? So that's really the whole scenario. You just gotta laser target the issues that you're facing, the areas that you're weak in. That's really it. That's all that you have to do, all right? So this is your whole scenario. You take the test, and on the last day, second last day before your test, or on the last day, what you can do is you can do the ETS Power Prep 2. That is super accurate. Basically, whatever score you get, you can expect ±3 score on that, on your actual GRE. Okay, so that's really going to be very, very accurate for you. Okay, unless you have a panic attack or something, the ETS. However, we are kind of preparing you to not have that panic attack because we're making you do a lot of tests. Basically, around 10 tests. That should make sure that you don't even have a panic attack. You're very, very comfortable with the testing environment. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. Now, one more thing that I want to point out is whenever you do verbal, a lot of people have very, bad vocabulary, and that's why their verbal scores are down. Okay, so whenever you actually go on for the verbal section, what you usually see is that basically, well, a lot of people, because of the vocabulary, they're not able to solve text completions or sentence equivalences. Well, in that case, what I usually do is whenever I come across a new word, I write it down in my own dictionary. So basically I have my dictionary over here, it's uploaded over here, this is the link. Again, I will include it in the description of the video. Alright, so this is my dictionary over here just in case you need it, but it's super long, 135 pages long. Alright, because I prepared verbal for a very long time. But, you know, I write down the word, I write down the meaning, and I also write down a sentence next to it. Right? So it's important that you write down the sentence because that will help you kind of memorize the words even faster, because our brain memorizes stories much better than it memorizes the words. So that's really it. The dictionary kind of gets prettier a little later. Basically, again, the word, the meaning, and the sentence, that's the constant thing, okay? And you try to learn these words as much as you can. Try to do this as much as you can. That's your whole thing for the vocabulary. That's what you need to do. Now, coming to the material, alright, I will basically, if you go on and you sign up on YMGrad.com, you will get more than half of this material anyway for free, right? But the other material, like the practice test accounts, right, or the Magoosh package, what you can do, however, is you can go onto the materials section, you can get the material from there, right? You still need to be signed up on the website to get the material. I will include the links in the description. Once you do that, you will be able to get the material from there, right? Now, the only thing I want you to do is make sure that you book the GRE after watching this video. I know it's been a lot, it's a lot of work, but after 30 days, I can guarantee that the result you will see is going to be better than you expect if you actually truly follow the schedule from your heart. If you don't do it, if you don't give it your 100%, then I don't have any guarantees in that case. But if you do 100%, you put in everything that you've got, you will see that you are able to actually get the score that you are dreaming about, right? 330, it's not impossible. It's definitely not impossible. You can definitely do it, but you've got to be very, very diligent about the process. You have to follow every single step here, and trust me, you do not need any other schedule. You do not need to do any other material, any other book. You don't need the ETS books. If you're wondering about that, don't do them, right? Follow this material. Just follow this and work every single day. Don't skip, even a single day you cannot manage to skip it, alright? You see how tight the schedule is. We do not have the time to skip, right? So all I want you to do is just follow the schedule and you should be good to go, alright? And again, this is Yash Mitwa. I, love that I am able to help you with this thing. Again, I would love to do that more over Instagram, or you can go onto our website, YMGrad, you contact us, I will get your messages directly. You can go onto my Instagram, you can contact me over there directly. I will help you out, okay? Everything I can do, alright? But sometimes I cannot reply to some of the, you could say, messages that I get, because they're asking the same questions that I answered in the videos. Which are the best mock tests? I already answered that in this video, right? So don't ask me the same questions. If you do have, however, some genuine questions that I can help you with, go on, message me. I would love to help you out, alright? So it was great talking to you. I know this was a pretty long video, but I hope this was worth your time. If it was, if you think that the time I took on a national holiday to come all the way to the office was worth it, give me a thumbs up. Write a comment, share this with a friend. It really helps me out, okay? And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.